I'm gonna say, I'm gonna take a shower,
Okay.
and you kind of keep it going back and forth.
Okay, I'll open up the door right now. I don't think it's, you can't be seen from here. I have it going this way, going to the back door.
Okay, good. I'm gonna sit down for a minute, and then I'm gonna take a shower.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Hello, can anyone hear me? Hello?
Hey, Roger, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Thank you. Again, my laptop is not working. I can't get video on it.
There's four of us on. There's four of us on here right now.
Okay, as long as y'all hear me, we're okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Speak.
Hello, anybody hearing me?
Yeah, this is Roger. I'm here.
All right, tell them who you are.
John McCraw, how you doing?
Yeah, we can hear you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, just leave it. I do not know what those other things are. Because I cannot speak, they can hear me. See, who have to use their phone, they don't have, but
Somebody right there now.
you want the gallery. You want the gallery. And I thought we touched gallery. It shows everything. Mother, get your cups. You need some water.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hey, John.
Hi, how you doing, Barry?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. My garage is having trouble connecting to the audio.
Yeah, I see that.
Hey,
Hey,
Barry?
Barry,
Hey,
can you hear
Roger.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll
have to use the telephone.
Well, you got a pretty good signal, it sounds like.
Okay, so you can hear me well.
Yeah, and I can see you.
You're
Yeah,
echoing.
I'll-
Obviously, you're doing two sources.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna turn this, I'm gonna turn one off. It's not
not
working.
working so well,
My
my
desktop.
desktop.
And
And
hopefully
hopefully
this
this
one
one
will
will
continue.
continue.
Well, hopefully this will be our last meeting for a while.
Yeah.
Let's hope. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's hope.
hope.
Do we turn in our hours?
Yeah, the check will be in the mail.
Yeah,
Yeah,
turn it
turn it
on.
on.
Hi, Sue Ann.
Hello, good morning.
Hey,
How's everyone?
Okay.
Sue Ann's had her haircut.
Just a little bit.
You did. When did you find time?
A summer cut.
Hey, Barry, can you still hear me?
Yeah, but it sounds like some reverberation in the background.
Okay, I'm gonna turn the phone off
now,
because I think the computer
is
working.
working.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Hey, great.
And
Got
see you.
video
Good.
and sound. See, Microsoft updated my system.
It worked.
Last meeting at 12 o'clock, they started updating it. And it took like 2 hours. And it got
Wow.
screwed up, and I just have got it where I can use it.
Well, it's working.
Hey, George.
Hello, John.
How things down your way?
Hot, hot, and hot.
True, true, true.
This is a good place to be at noontime today.
Definitely.
Where's the snow?
Antarctica.
See, yesterday's the longest day of the year, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, either yesterday or today.
Today, the usually springs at 21st.
Okay. There's Gary Collins.
Hey, buddy. No tie.
Yeah, I noticed.
No proclamations today.
Lips are sealed.
Brother Wayne, how you doing?
All right, how you doing?
All righty.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hey, Suzanne.
Hello.
begins right now with breaking news.
Police need your help this afternoon as they investigate another shooting. It happened in Roanoke last night. Officers say it happened on 6th Street in the 900 block. Officers say they found a man there with a non-life-threatening.
We have someone, Lindsay Ward, can you?
Taken to the hospital. So far, no arrests have been made, and this is where they need your help. If you saw anything or know anything about what happened, you're asked to call police. And this shooting follows one that happened the early morning hours on Sunday. At least 2 men are in the hospital after that shooting happened on Campbell Avenue.
Ward.
Show you some cell phone video from the scene where police were
mute,
called out.
please?
It shows what happened moments after police say a suspect possibly used a large caliber
Lindsay
rifle.
Ward, please
After
mute.
hearing several gunshots, police found a man who had been shot.
Whoever
and
the host
seriously
is has
hurt.
the power
We're
to
told
mute.
another man showed up at the hospital who had also been shot. So far, in this
Who's
case,
hosting?
no arrests have been made either.
Joanne, who's
Roanoke
hosting?
Mayor Sherman Lee says the Star City should expect to see big changes at today's city council meeting after what he calls an epidemic of gun violence. 10 News reporter Alexis Davila is live in downtown Roanoke with a preview of what we can expect at that meeting. Alexis, a lot of people are looking for answers.
Yes, Mayor Sherman Lee tells us that he is trying, the city needs to curb the gun violence. And he says to 10 News that he is disappointed and frustrated with the recent shooting that happened this weekend on Campbell Avenue. His solution?
Wait
is
for
to
Sue
increase
Ann to
the
come
city's
back.
budget.
She might know, or she may
Mayor
have.
says expect to
trying
see
to
more
track
funds
down the host.
allocated to mental health. Facing
Yeah.
a staffing shortage,
So
Lee
the
says they will
host can
increase
mute
officer
Lindsay
wages
Ward.
in effort to recruit officers. With citizens requesting for more police patrol, Lee says they are working on geographical policing
Apparently,
right
we
now.
don't have a
Lee
host
says
on
they
right
are
now.
reviewing old school methods to determine what efforts might be effective in combating the rising gun violence.
Such as sponsoring a gun buyback program, such as really what can we do regarding putting cameras out there?
When we asked about the effectiveness of the gun violence task force, Lee told us they are making progress because they are forming more relationships with the community, but says the community also needs to meet them halfway. Now, the city council will gather today at 2 in the municipal building over here to talk about the budget and finalize those plans. Live in Roanoke, Alexis Avila, 10 News, working for you.
Continuing live team coverage on the rise in gun violence in the Star City and what city leaders are going to do to address it. That's coming your way tonight, starting on 10 News.
Sue Ann, can you mute Lindsay Ward,
Lynchburg
please?
police need your help this afternoon finding a missing woman. They're looking for 74-year-old Beatrice Spencer. We're
Sorry, you
told
muted.
she has Alzheimer's and was last seen on Sunday.
Can you mute? Are you
If you've
host?
seen
Can
her,
you mute Lindsay
you're asked to
Ward?
call police. We've got a picture of her up on WSLS.com. Traffic alert for you this afternoon in Roanoke. A section of Colonial
hosting
Avenue
this?
is closed from
Sue Ann, are
Winding
you
Way
hosting?
to Robin Road. That's just west of Virginia Western. There is a gas leak at an ongoing construction
if you'll
project.
just click on the
Fire and
participant's
gas
name.
crews are going to remain on scene until
Click on the
conditions
participant's
remain
name.
safe. So if you're headed that way, you will
Find
need to find
Lindsay
a different
Ward,
way
and
around
to the
this
right, you
afternoon.
should be able to mute it.
Turn now to your forecast where we are seeing things really starting to bubble up outside. The heat has returned. Meteorologist Chris Michaels is working for you this
See those
afternoon on
three
just
little
how long this
bubbles
heat
by
is going
the
to stick
name?
around summer fans on this first full day of summer.
Exactly.
Loving this.
Yeah, getting what you've been waiting for, right? Temperature right now in the Roanoke Valley at 88
see three
degrees. You
little
see
dots
those
by her
fair
name.
weather cumulus clouds bubbling up due to the humidity. The dew point at 69. It's making it feel like 92. So that's your heat index in the Roanoke Valley. We've hit 90 officially in Danville and South Boston, Lynchburg at 89, Blacksburg at 82, and still a few
Okay, thank
hours
you.
to warm things up. As
I've
we go through the
emailed
rest
them
of
as
the
well.
afternoon, as you see some
Thank you.
storms firing up west of Charleston, West Virginia, it's going to take quite some time before we see any storms move in. But because it's so hot, because it's so humid, any storm that does survive the trip over the mountains could become strong to severe. Basically, all of us in this level 1 risk for severe weather. That being
Can you
between
make
the
someone
hours
else
of about
a
5
co-host?
and 10 p.m. today. Grilling forecast showing that chance for a few storms
someone
at
at
6 p.m. We're
WSLS
still in the upper 80s, low to mid 80s, even at 8 p.m. But continuing to track this front that's moving through, not just going to give us a few storms later today, but
Sorry, I
it means a
can't
couple
hear you
other
over
things
the,
for our
radio.
forecast moving forward. I'll explain what that is step by step coming up in about 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
There you go.
Yeah, just kick her.
Oh, good job.
Not sure
Okay,
how that
okay to call the, is it okay to call the meeting to order now, Sue Ann?
Yes.
Okay.
Apologies for that delay.
Okay, we're moving forward. Thank you.
None of those options were working, so
Okay.
we don't know why
Okay.
they were not working, but none of those options that normally work on that were working.
Okay, Janet was not able to be here at the start of the meeting, but she said she will be joining us shortly. So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the PHCC Board of Directors, call the meeting to order. And I would like to state that the attendance of the board members and all votes must be done by roll call to satisfy the state requirements for electronic meetings. And this meeting of Patrick Henry Community College Board of Directors is being held through electronic means due to COVID-19 pandemic in accordance with section 4-0.01G of chapter 1289 of the 2020 Acts of Virginia General Assembly. Members attending are using Zoom as the electronic platform for this meeting. Sue Ann, would you please do the roll call?
Yes.
Thank you.
Janet Copenhaver is absent at the moment. Dr. Denny Casey.
Here.
Gary Collins.
Here.
Paul Geib.
Here.
Robert Haley.
Here.
Monica Hatchett.
Here.
Roger Hayden.
Here.
Barry Helmstutler.
Here.
George Hippisley.
Present.
Dr. Shannon LeGrant. Dr. John McCraw.
Here.
Wayne Moore.
Here.
Robert Vogler.
Here.
Ren Williams.
Here.
Okay, and I'll call our Patrick Henry staff people. Dr. Angeline Godwin.
Here.
Amanda Broom.
Here.
Ronnie Carter.
Here.
Sharon Claggett. Here. David Deal. Megan Eggleston. Joanne Amon, that's me. Dr. Colin Ferguson. Randy Ferguson.
Here.
Jack Hanbury.
Here.
Brian Henderson.
Here.
Dr. Greg Hodges.
Here.
Rhonda Hodges.
Here.
Dr. Virginia Jones. Shannon Peters. Letitia Pulliam. Matthew Ratliff.
Here.
Belinda Stockton. Tiffany Underwood.
Here.
Amy Webster. Rickstrom. Roberta Wright. Present. Terry Young. Are there some members of the media with us today? Will you identify yourselves? I thought I saw Bill Wyatt.
Yes, Bill Wyatt, Martinsville Bulletin.
Okay. And is there anyone else from the media with us? Any members of the public?
Excuse me, Sue Ann, Lindsay Ward is still listed as here, and Rachel Schneider, I don't know who Rachel Schneider is.
Channel 7.
Rachel Snyder's Channel 7. And Lindsay Ward.
That's WSLS.
I believe Brandon Martin may also be here, but I'm not sure.
Are you here, Brendan?
We do need a vocal roll call from the media, if that was.
I'm here, Sue Ann.
Brandon Martin with Henry County Enterprise. Okay. Okay. Well, we have a quorum of board members with us today, and I think I've got all the other people who are here.
Okay. Thank you, Sue Ann. Well, the purpose of this meeting is to come to an agreement for submitting names for the community college to the state board. And so I'd like to call on Dr. Godwin to give us any updates or anything we need to consider or any comments that she might have. Dr. Godwin?
Thank you, Dr. Casey. We appreciate everybody's time and patience. And I do want to say a special thank you to all of you that have been so diligent, and we really appreciate the time and the energy that this board has invested in this college this year. And you see, I believe, through our presidential search work and through this work, I think you really have a clear picture that our board really has a very important role for our college, and we appreciate what you committed to that. What I would like to do, this will be my last meeting with you more than likely. My tenure at the college officially ends June 30th. So I will try to assist Sue Ann and the vice presidents and President-elect Hodges as we make the transitions. We have focused quite a bit of our time on the naming review and other items, and as opposed to a more formal transition, but I will be available to them for the next 10 days as we move through that. But today is my last day on campus. So I will be moving permanently in the next 24 hours. And I wish you all the very best. If I can ever do anything for this college, don't hesitate to ask. I think that as we bring this to a close, it is extremely important that we understand how we got here. And even today, as I try to have conversations where appropriate and clarifying, I still find pockets of misinformation, just incorrect information about why we're here and how we got here. Let me say that prior to July of 2020, to my knowledge, I had only one registered concern regarding the name of this college. I had only one had ever been presented to me, and I have polled people pretty extensively about the issue of the name of this college and the concerns that the name of this college may have posed. I say that to say this, is that I think that you're to be applauded because in some ways, concern for the name of this college really came to us quite unexpectedly. Because we had not had that type of broader conversations. Some of the other colleges dealing with name changes, they have had a history of dialogue and discussions about the challenges of their name. So we were just not in that situation. And so I think to have gone from really what I would consider nominal concern about the name of the college to where we are today, I think you should be applauded for that. Please note that to the best of our knowledge, this college, as we've tried to reinforce, regardless of what the new future name is, when this college was created by the University of Virginia through the statutes of the Code of Virginia, it was actually a statutory action that the General Assembly took to create this college. The University of Virginia chose to name this college for its localities. Those of you, I believe Bob was there, know that in the 1962 initially, there was a hyphen there, and the hundreds of people that I've talked to in the last year, I really think that's why the overwhelming conclusion of our community, and probably why the name had really not been in the public debate, was because there was just a general understanding that it was named for our localities, because that's the way the University of Virginia originally crafted it. So in July 2020, our state board, based on, and rightfully so, really a whole new national dialogue in terms of the roles of equity, about social justice, and really a racial discord in our country, asked to call the community colleges to take a look. We're going to focus just on their taking a look at the name. There was not a process provided. There was no policy or procedure. So after a few weeks, we began to develop our own review process. I will tell you that today I have shared our process with colleges across the country because there really is not a playbook for how you go about evaluating whether a name is appropriate or not. And that was our charge. So we began meeting. I want to note, because there's been some questions about public comment, is that public comment is really focusing on feedback, on access to feedback. We initiated public comment at that time with an email address, feedback@patrickhenry.edu. It continued for a long period of time. Actually, we did not get a tremendous amount of feedback. We got some, not as much as I thought we would. Mostly what we received was really through social media. It was impromptu posts from social media that really have driven most of the commentary. In the fall, we began meeting. We had, late summer, fall, we began meeting. We had teams focused on a variety of areas. We had a team focused specifically and exclusively on the college name. And Janet Copenhaver is the chair, and Wayne Moore co-chaired that team that led through the discussion of the college name. At the conclusion of that period of time, we opened up a 2-week public comment feedback time to give the public. We appreciate that the media covered that and for an additional comments. One of the things that I want to note as it relates to the financial analysis that I'm very proud of, the teams made the decision, 2 board members and then a wide representation from campus, that they would not review the work and the recommendations and the analysis of the financial analysis team. It was a separate team, bankers, accountants, business people, attorneys, very highly professional group. But they did not want to review the financial analyses until after that team had taken a preliminary vote on what its recommendation would be. That is character. That is integrity. That is what this college is all about, because what they were saying is, we do not want the price tag only to drive our decisions. We want to do the right thing. Now, yes, we have a fiduciary responsibility to understand what this is going to cost us, what it's going to cost our college, and primarily our college foundation. I've had questions, why is the college foundation talking about? Because the college foundation is probably going to have to write the check. There is no plans. There's been no indication of any state appropriation to fund the cost of the namings. These are legitimate concerns. We have a responsibility to know how much this would cost. But you all need to know that I thought that really spoke to the heart of our college and our board, that they wanted to know, they wanted to come to their best recommendation independent of the financial analysis. And then they would take the financial analysis and then decide whether they move forward. Every single team confirmed their recommendations, even though there were significant costs in certain areas. And I think that is very, very important. And we continue to work from that. The team recommended that we restore the hyphen, which was the original nomenclature of the college name. The full board voted to retain the name as is without the hyphen in a vote of 8-5. That was a recommendation that was sent to the state board. It initially went to the State Board's Facilities Committee. The State Board's Facilities Committee rejected the recommendation of the full board to keep the name as is. It did approve the addition of the hyphen and to bring that out to the full state board. When it came to the full state board rejected the local board's recommendation to retain the name as is, and it also rejected the option of adding a hyphen to its original nomenclature in hopes of more clearly and adequately pointing to the college being named for the localities. So de facto, the message from the state board was they urged us to reconsider, but the urging to reconsider gave you, this board, the charge of coming up with a new name because the original name retained had been rejected. A name with a hyphen had been rejected. And the rationale that we understand, because I was there watching, participating in the state board full meeting, was that even though the college is named for the localities, as we acknowledge, the localities are named for the individual Patrick Henry, who was a slaveholder. He abhorred slavery. He wrote extensively about it, but he didn't do anything about it. He still was a slaveholder at the time of his death as the first governor of Virginia. So what the state board concluded was, because the names of our localities are inappropriate, because they were named after Patrick Henry, the person, the slave owner, then because the college is named for our localities, it makes our name inappropriate. So we have initiated in good faith a broad survey. We decided to go with an anonymous survey process to get a greater amount of feedback. And I think Amanda Broom would confirm with me that I think we've had about 800 responses. Many of the names were nonsensical. Some of them were outright vulgar. Some of the names were repetitions of other colleges. I think we had covered the other college names in the VCCS. I think we made it very clear. I'm going to try to reinforce to you today that if it is a name of another community college in Virginia, particularly the first name, it's a no starter. And rightfully so. This will cause enough confusion for our community, for potential students across the Commonwealth, and our national reputation. We certainly do not want to magnify that by proposing a new name that is really very similar or partially similar to one of the other existing community colleges or nearby community colleges. So after our last meeting, we asked board members to shrink the list. The Financial Analysis Committee met after that and began to do their work again in looking at this. I want to assure all of you, those of you that were not on the Financial Analysis Committee, and I want to assure the public, Patrick Henry Community College has never just guessed at anything. We didn't come up with some random $500,000 to $1 million. I can assure you, as long as I've sat in this office, I've never guessed about anything. We do our homework. Everything we do, we measure twice and cut once. Analysis and data and getting the best information we can is how we do business here. We watch every nickel, we watch every penny, every dime has a name on it at this college. So those numbers were thoughtful, legitimate, itemized. Now, granted, we probably have it wrong in some cases. There's going to be items that we felt like were going to cost us X and they cost us Y. Some will be more, some will be less. There may be areas in which we can take them off of the cost list. We hope so. But there's going to be things that we've never thought of. I have had conversations with the other college presidents that are going through this process. Every single one of them said the cost magnified as they've been working through the process. So we're trying to prepare what I'd call a contingency fund for that. There were things that they never even dreamed would be cost that were. So we're trying to be smart about this because we're going to have to take money out of the coffers that normally go for foundation work, which is mostly scholarships and direct aid to students and supporting instruction, which is what this college is about. And we're going to have to transition those resources to this name change. That makes it serious business. It doesn't matter whether you want a name change more than anything else, you still got to pay for it. And that is the reality we're dealing with. That's why the foundation got involved in it. It's why they're concerned about it. And we all need to know what we're doing. As I say, we need to get this down to the while the cows can eat it. There's no more warm and fuzzy about it. Whether you want a new name more than anything, we've still got to pay for it. And we have to be diligent. I encourage you, when I walk out of here today, and Jack Henbury will do this, and Greg Hodges will make sure it's done, they're going to count every penny, and they're going to count every nickel. And we're going to, I know the financial part of this will be done as well as it could ever be done. We don't come up with arbitrary numbers to make the case we need to change the name. That's not been the pattern from the very beginning. But the reality is this is expensive business. Whether it's a new name, a modification of this thing, it's expensive. And we need to be prepared. And anytime you start talking about taking any penny and taking it out of the direct work towards students, those dollars must be justified. They must be intensely justified. So that is where we are. I'm going to ask you, I know you've gotten several emails today. We asked you to come up with your #1 vote list. I had a couple of text messages saying, well, there's some names that I thought we were getting a lot of votes that weren't on the list. That's true. Sue Ann graciously, with Amanda's help. Thank you, Amanda Broom. We'll be forever grateful for the extraordinary work you've done on this. Amazing. That of where these things are highlighting. Want to give you a couple of comments. There's 23 community colleges. Let's talk about a name that starts with Virginia. We already have 2 community colleges in the BCCS that begin with Virginia. Virginia Western and Virginia Highlands. I can assure you that's not going to get it. You might as well just put it aside. And it would be bad branding business for the BCCS State Board to approve that. We've already got 2. And there's a zillion other Virginia somethings. So you would be caught up in a very homogenous brand world that'd be very expensive to ever push through and distinguish yourself. Mountain is in one. We already have a Mountain Empire. Mountain Laurel, Mountain Empire, yes, they're 2 different things, but that first name, I can encourage you, it's like Piedmont. Quite frankly, my favorite name would have been Piedmont Highlands. That's the name I would have picked if you had said, Angelin, you must pick a new name and it can't be Patrick Henry. I would have chosen Piedmont Highlands because it's the perfect geographical capture. Not going to happen. Piedmont is not going to happen. We have 1 in Virginia. We got 1 right across the state line. Highlands, we already have a Virginia Highlands. It's not going to happen. We have a lot of interest in the word heal and a lot of interest in the word heritage. Patriot Heal, Patriot Heritage. I think you have to think about those 2 words and what you think captures it the most. And I understand there is some history of the individuals who are the naming of Smith River. I've not really been able to confirm that, but that has certainly been put on my name. There's been I've done a little research on the term progressive. Progressive has become a totally political word. In my day, it wasn't. Progressive meant you just move forward instead of keeping your eye in the rearview mirror running back. No longer the case. I encourage the college to think very carefully before you name yourself of a political mindset of the day. We're Americans. It'll change. The pendulum swings. It always does. Another generation, who knows what they're going to think. I have 3 kids. I can assure you they're all over the place in what they think. They don't agree about anything. So we'll probably be like that as well. So those are my tidbits of wisdom that I have. I'm giving you all I got in a short period of time. I hope you will take heed to it. I think review of the process is extremely important so you know where we're being and where we're going. I do encourage you to today I think you got a couple decisions. I hope Janet is on here now. Janet, are you here?
I am.
Janet is here now. I'm gonna turn it over here. But I encourage you today, if you could get to this juncture, and that is to decide, are you sending one name? Are you sending two names? Are you sending a slate of 3 in preferred order? I think any of the 3 is actually appropriate. There's a group of consultants that have worked for the other colleges that have said you must pick one name and you can only send one name. There's another group of consultants that are working for the other colleges, and I've been talking to some folks nationally going through this. They say don't back your state board into a corner. Give them some options. Tell them what you prefer, but give them some choices, or you'll be right back here months from now, you know, trying to, if they don't like that one name. Just a thought. So that is a decision of this board. As you know from the very beginning, I do not get a vote. But I certainly hope that you will consider those options. And Janet, I have probably said enough. So I wish everybody luck. I have no doubt in my mind that Dr. Hodges will lead this college through its new and improved name or its realignment of its current name, whichever it turns out to be. I have no doubt in my mind, and I have no question that this board will do what it needs to do. This in the best interest of this college, the best interest of the students, and in the best interest of the community. I will lose no sleep over knowing that it will be done for the best interest of our students. So thank you for letting me be your president. Thank you for letting me work with you in this process. And I wish the college the very, very best. And I will return the floor to your most courageous chair. Janet,
thank you.
Extraordinary job you've done from the very beginning. Janet doesn't even blink. She just keeps on. Love it.
Thank you, Dr. Godwin. And with your monologue and all of the nice things that you said, I think what we need to do now as a board is discuss how we're going to send the names to the VCC board. Are you going to send 1? Are you going to send 2? Are you going to send 3? I'll open the discussion. I think we need to not narrow ourselves to 1. I think we need to maybe send 1 or 2 or 3 in order of how we feel the priority order. So what is the pleasure of the board? Do we have any discussion?
Janet, George Hipsley.
Okay.
I would suggest that whether it's 1, 2, or 3 might depend on discussions about the names. We might find following that discussion that we have 3 names bunched at the top, or we might find we have 1 name at the top. And that bunching or not bunching might affect what we decide about the number of names to send.
Okay, Barry, I saw your hand raised too.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I had a list of 7 names from Sue Ann this morning. Some of them got more than 1 vote. Mountain Laurel, Patrick and Henry, Patriot Heights, Patriot Heritage, Progressive Hills, Smith River, and Virginia Foothills. Based on what Dr. Godwin just told us, it sounds like Mountain Laurel probably is not going to go.
Correct.
Virginia Foothills is not going to go. Progressive Hill is probably not going to go. And I do have some concerns on Smith River. Again, I'm not a genealogist, but the little research I did, the river was named after 2 brothers in the mid 1700s, and they were classified as large landowners. And the one thing that was pretty common in that period of time, and you were a large landowner, was you probably owned slaves, or you very well could have. I cannot find whether they did or did not. Somebody much better than me is going to have to figure that out. But I would be a little nervous about naming it Smith River based on not knowing. I don't want to be in the same boat we're in right now a year from now.
I agree.
They're also classified as hunters and long hunters. And there was a book published about 1976 And the bulletin, Martinsville Bulletin, may have had something to do with that. I can't recall. I've got a copy of it here. But they were classified as hunters or long hunters, and who lived, they were brothers who lived on the Smith River. And somewhere in the mid 1700s, the name changed from the Irvine River, which was named after one of the surveyors who came through with William Byrd, appointed by the royal governor, to help to settle a land border dispute between North Carolina and Virginia. And one of the surveyors was a math professor from the College of William and Mary, and his last name was Mayo. I think we've heard of that before. And the other man was, well, actually Mayo was a surveyor. Irvine was a math professor from the College of William and Mary. And of course, the Smith River, as we know it today, was named for him. Sometime in the mid 1700s, you can look on the old maps, one being the Jefferson Fry map, Jefferson being the father of Thomas Jefferson. It's listed as Irvine River, but somewhere in the mid 1700s, the name, for some unknown reason, changed to the Smith River. And again, you can see it on the early maps as the Smith River. A long hunter is one like Daniel Boone. They would go out months at a time hunting. Whether they were or not, I don't know, but everything I've traced down says that the Smith brothers were hunters or long hunters who lived together in a cabin on the Smith River. That's the most I've ever been able to find. Whether that's accurate, I cannot say 100%, but that seems to be the common local historical viewpoint.
Thank you,
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I agree with Bob. I've researched and I found out about the same information that Bob has, and it doesn't feel good to me. I think we should not consider that.
Okay, going back to what Barry said, he had like 7 names and we've taken off like 4, right Barry, or taken off 3?
Mountain Laurel's taken off, Virginia Foothills, Progressive Hills probably should not be on the final list.
Correct.
And then that leaves Smith River, which by the way, I really like, but I'm just scared of it.
Yeah.
Patrick and Henry, my guess is that's not going to fly. I mean, if they're going to take Patrick and Henry, they'll probably take the Patrick -Henry. So that leaves Patriot Heights, Patriot Heritage. That's kind of it.
Yep.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
one question. The information that we supposedly sent to the board last meeting, what became of that?
They will react or not react to the suggestion. It has been sent to them, and I understand they did get it. So we have to do this anyway, whether they react to that or not. So I would say since that report said to use the hyphen, and they've already refused the hyphen, that we don't even have that in the names that we're going to send to them. Like Dr. Godwin said.
Thank you.
So Sue Ann, can you throw up the 4 names that are left? Can you share your screen with those?
Jenny, can I make a footnote based on the comments you just made?
Yes.
I do think it is appropriate, because I've gotten lots of questions about this morning, what my opinion was, and I think I should, since I've shared it with some, I should share it with all, of whether I feel like it would be completely objectionable to resubmit a version of Patrick and Henry, the Patrick and Henry, Patrick Appersant or Patrick and Henry, that was proposed in the Patrick County Board of Supervisors. If you know, we did make a reference to that in the statement from the board. The board has voted on the name as is and the name with a hyphen, but it has not taken up or considered the Appersant as a clear delineation of geography. I was asked that question. Did that mean that it was completely off the table? And my answer was no, because it has not been put before the board as an official recommendation. So.
Okay, I would like to recommend and make a motion that we put Patrick Ampersand Henry or Patrick and Henry as one of the names that we're going to submit.
Second.
Okay, there's a second. So Sue Ann, will you call the roll for the vote?
Janet, would you clarify the name?
Patrick.
Are you gonna send both?
No hyphen, no hyphen. Patrick Ampersand Henry or Patrick and Henry?
Okay, thank you.
And could you tell me who seconded that, please?
Dr. McGraw.
Question?
Questions? Any questions?
Yeah, is that I'm not sure I know what we're voting on, but is that one name or two?
No, that's Dr. Godwin, I'll have to go to your expertise. The ampersand and the and, would they consider that two or one?
I think you consider it one, because the ampersand means and.
Right.
Then it would be just, if they chose, it would just be, really, we could come down to a brand, marketing decision, whether it's the symbol and or it's the word and. And I think if you put symbol or word, ampersand or symbol or word, then if they accept one, they would accept the other. I think that's kind of a Amanda Randy discussion, not a us discussion, of just from a visualization and a graphics perspective.
Okay, so that would be one name.
Okay, and my other question was, what exactly are we voting on with respect to that name?
We're
Adding
voting
it to the list.
We're adding it to the list, correct?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And you made the motion, Janet?
And Dr. McGraw seconded.
Okay.
So we're calling for a vote.
Janet Copenhaver,
Yes.
Dr. Denny Casey,
No.
Gary Collins,
Yes.
Paul Geib,
No.
Robert Haley,
Yes.
Monica Hatchett,
No.
Roger Hayden,
No.
Barry Helmstutler,
Yes.
George Hippisley,
Yes.
Dr. Shanna LeGrant is absent. Dr. John McCraw,
Yes.
Wayne Moore,
Yes.
Robert Vogler,
Yes.
Ren Williams.
To be clear, this is submit the name Patrick or Patrick ampersand Henry to the board again.
To the list of names.
Yes, it's basically the Patrick County Supervisor's recommendation.
Then I would say yes.
May I have a clarification, please, of that motion?
Okay.
I thought you were sending two of those, and I voted no. Now, look, I'll agree to one.
No, it means the same thing. We're only going to send the name. The ampersand and the and means the same thing.
Okay, well.
Question. I understood that we were voting whether to add that name to the list
That is correct.
Sue Ann had sent us, not whether we were going to send it on to the state board.
That is correct.
That is yet another vote following another discussion.
That is correct.
If I'm wrong, then I withdraw my vote.
This is just added to the list.
Add it to the list.
Thank you.
You've not voted on what goes on the list to go to the state board. You're adding what is on the list, not how it goes forward to the state board.
It's the key thing is which list. It's the list that we are about to consider.
That's very confusing.
This is confusing. So right now you're constructing your list to vote on that then is the list that would go to the state board. So
I
we're-
thought we was already voting on the list with state, but I will vote
no, sir.
yes to put that on to add that name to the list.
Okay,
I'm changing Roger Hayden's vote to yes. And, so wait,
Madam Chair,
yes,
I'd like to make a comment when I can.
okay,
Okay, I would like to respectfully ask the board to consider Smith River. We don't have any evidence that points that it would be a bad name to consider. I was looking at the comments that were made in the list that Suhan had sent out, and there is quite a number. I counted 48 comments from the public in favor of, and for very good reason. There were some very good comments. If you looked at those comments, some very good reasons. All four counties, Henry, Patrick, and Franklin, did a little research on that, and all of them are in the Smith River watershed. We're promoting this region with tourism, with Smith River with the complex and possibly a new park, Smith Mountain Lake. And I would speak in favor of leaving Smith River on the list for consideration. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Let's a motion on the floor. Let's finish this vote and then we will add to the list. Thank you for your comments, Dr. Casey.
the votes were completed. There were 10 yes votes, 3 no votes, and 1 was absent, so no vote.
Okay, we have one list. We have one name to send forward. So how do you want to do this? And I'm asking the pleasure of the board. Do you want someone to bring up a name just like I did as a motion and we vote on it? Or do you want Suann to put the list up and we vote on the names on the list?
Apparently I cannot share my screen. I apologize for
Okay,
that.
all right.
I can give you the names.
I would like to respond to Chairman.
Okay.
First of all, and this is in response to Dr. Casey. First of all, we voted as a board at an earlier meeting not to consider any names that involve the names of individuals, and Smith River clearly does, from all the research that Barry has done and that I have done and others have done. It seemed pretty clear that Smith River goes back to the two brothers.
I found their names, by the way, Gideon and Daniel Smith.
Can I finish, please? Secondly, you could make the same argument about 48 comments or more to Patrick Henry, and we found that the state board is not going to be swayed by public opinion, I'm afraid. So I personally think we run the risk with Smith River, however attractive that name is. And I have no particular objection to it, but I think we run the risk of sitting here again 5 or 10 years down the road if somebody should find something in the good Smith Brothers background to object to. That's all.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Hippisley.
I agree with that. Smith is a first name, is a person's name. And to me, doing my research, same as Bob did, but the same conclusion. I don't think it should be accepted.
Okay, any more comments on the Smith River? Okay, Les.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
this is not on the Smith River. I was just responding to your question about how we might proceed forward.
okay,
Okay, so make a suggestion, and that would be is that we would take a vote for our top 3, and basically we would just tally those. It would be a very democratic way of doing it for first choice, second choice, and third choice. And we could assign point totals to each of those, like 1 for first place, 2 for second, and 3 for third. And then we could look at how the entire board feels numerically based on the responses that we get with it. The lowest number would be the best, the highest that we could all agree on. And then the lowest number, the highest number would be the least preferred for the entire board. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That makes sense. Perfect sense.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
so we're adding Patrick or ampersand Henry to the list, correct? Or we did?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I apologize. I'm at another entity this morning. I do not have that list in front of me. So,
I can read them to you.
okay. All right.
So are we eliminating Mountain Laurel?
We are eliminating Mountain Laurel.
Bob, do you need something?
Yes, I'm not opposed to the name Smith River, but like George, I think the origins of the name are murky, and I don't want to have to come back to this weeks or months from now because something has come to light. I just have absolutely no problems with the name other than the origins are murky. Thank you.
I have a concern too. When we go to Smith River, are we not going against what we had originally stated? Or that we were trying to keep it in the name of PHCC. And are we still trying to keep it in the name of PHCC?
I should hope so.
Yeah, I would hope that we keep it that way. I thought we were going for PH, try to keep it PH. Smith River would be totally out of that.
That's your decision as a board. We can do that.
Let's go ahead and go with the 3 names and then we can see where we are.
Okay. Sue Ann, we're back to you reading the names.
So we can skip Patrick and Henry, that's a given,
Yes.
right? So the next one we had was Patriot Heights. And we had Patriot Heritage listed 3 times. And other than that, there was Progressive Hill, which
We decided not to take, yes.
right, and Smith River. So it's really it's Patriot Heights and Patriot Heritage.
Make a motion, we decide on Patriot Heritage.
No, I thought we were going through the 3 names and the top vote getter are the 3 names.
Now, we also want to look at the groupings from thematics that Amanda presented here. Amanda, you think you could jump in and articulate because there was some interesting of how the Patriot and then between Hill and Heritage played out. It really played out in the original polling more than Heights. Amanda, can you be helpful here?
Certainly. So the original polling that you're referring to was last week. The board submitted their top 5, and I did some thematic analysis on those, and I found that the common themes from the top 5 of each of the board members were Hills, Patriot, and Heritage. And then some other themes that I found were that the board preferred names for geography, and of course the board preferred names that represented PH. So there were 6 total different names from those that were submitted that had the word hill in it. There were 5 different names that had the word Patriot. There were 6 different names that had the word heritage, and then 8 of the submitted names were geographic in nature, and 16 represented the initials PH. Again, those were from the board members' top 5 picks.
Am I correct that no one picked Patriot Hills as their number one.
I'd like to comment. I didn't hear Patriot Heights mentioned, and I had picked Patriots Heights as number one.
Yes, I did mention that. Patriot Heights and Patriot Heritage were listed.
But not Patriot Hills.
Not in your final
Not as a
list of
number one.
one. Your number one choice, it wasn't listed, but it was listed in your 5 and 3 breakdown.
That was actually somewhat of a surprise because Patriot Hill was very highly positioned earlier. We did have some that did not submit their number one. And I actually even got a commentary this morning on Hill being off King Mountain. They thought, well, so, Patriot Hill it was really high on the list, really with the highest geographical reference, but it did not make it on the top one. I mean, you're not limited to the list of the top one. That's why we wanted to provide you with as much information as you could of what we've seen to date.
Madam Chair.
Sue-Ann- Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to Sue Ann's list.
Okay.
You've said Patrick and Henry, Patriot Heritage, Patriot Heights, but no Patriot Hills, correct?
It wasn't in your number one.
Okay,
list.
all right, okay.
But yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion that we add Patriot Hills to consideration.
okay, there is a motion on the floor. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Second by Wayne Moore. Any discussion? Okay, we'll call a vote.
Okay, Janet Copenhaver,
No,
Dr. Dennis Casey,
Yes.
Gary Collins,
Yes.
Paul Geib,
No.
Robert Haley,
Yes.
Monica Hatchett,
Yes.
Roger Hayden,
No,
Barry Helmstutler,
Yes.
George Hippisley,
No,
Dr. Shanna LeGrant, still absent. Dr. John McCraw,
No.
Wayne Moore,
Yes.
Robert Vogler,
Yes.
Ren Williams. Ren Williams,
Must have got bumped off.
okay.
how
What is
do I record that?
Absent.
absent, I guess, yes.
All right, let me count.
You have a 7-5 vote to add Patriot Hill to the list.
Yes, that's what I got. 7 yeses, 5 noes.
Okay, so far we have Patrick and Henry or Ampersand Henry, Patriot Heritage, Patriot Heights, and Patriot Hills. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Does any board member have another name that they would like to vote on?
but would you clarify what we're voting on? Now, we're voting to add this to the list?
We're not voting, we're just doing this discussion right now. Are these the 4 that we're going to settle on? Then we'll make a motion to settle on those. But does anyone else have another name to add to this list? We haven't voted on this list yet.
I move we call the question, vote on the list.
Okay, there's a move to call the question of, are you making that as a motion to accept these 4 names?
A second.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear who second.
A second, Denny.
Okay, Denny second. And we'll do a roll call.
Can I
Suann?
get a statement of the motion again, please?
Okay, the motion is to accept these 4 names as our list in no order, just these 4 names.
Yeah, Suann, why don't we call that the preliminary slate?
Preliminary slate.
And that will help distinguish this. This is just saying, these are the names under consideration, official approved consideration to then vote on of what will be, how many will go to the state board and what.
Okay, so accepting these 4 as their preliminary slate of names to be considered.
Yes.
All right, Janet Copenhaver,
Yes.
Dr. Denny Casey,
Yes.
Gary Collins,
Yes.
Paul Geib,
Yes.
Robert Haley,
Yes.
Monica Hatchett,
Yes.
Roger Hayden,
Yes.
Barry Helmstutler,
Yes.
George Hippisley,
Yes.
Dr. Shanna LeGrant, absent. Dr. John McCraw,
Yes.
Wayne Moore,
Yes.
Robert Vogler,
Yes.
Ren Williams. I'm marking him absent. So the motion passed.
The motion's carried. Okay. To narrow this to our favorite ones or to prioritize them, I'm not sure without a form how we would do this unless we all send an email. But I would say we do our top choice 4, our second choice 3, our third choice 2, and our bottom choice 1 as point system. Do you agree with that?
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Given that we've limited this down to 4 names, before voting, should there be any 1-sentence statement by each board member about anything plus or minus about any of the names before we vote?
We can do that if you would like to do that.
I would like to do that.
Okay, if we have any discussion on the 4 names that we have on our preliminary slate, the floor is open. Okay, Mr. Hipsley.
Yes, I very much like if I will put aside the question of Patrick and Henry. I just want to speak to the 3 Patriot choices. I looked at Patriot Heritage and I looked at Patriot Heights, and my sense of those is Patriot Heritage has us looking backward at heritage. Patriot Heights, on the other hand, has us looking forward as the school and its students attain new heights. So there's, something you can make do with Heights that you maybe can't make do with Heritage. Patriot Hills is perhaps neutral on that particular discussion. That's the only comment I have. Over.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just feel I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up 2 concerns. We've had extensive discussion about not naming the college for an individual or individuals, and about the punctuation involved in the name. And I just think that Patrick and Henry is essentially the same thing as adding the dash. So I think it's important for us to be aware of that and be aware of the fact that VCCS will likely view it in the same manner. I also have concerns about Patriot Heritage, just because locally, I believe that there is a negative connotation to Southern heritage and that sort of terminology. And so that name does give me pause as well.
Any more comments?
Madam Chair, I'm right now, I'm happy because we got our PHCC. And I think that's is going to save us some monies. I think it's very crucial for our athletics. We have, as Dr. Godwin said, we have done a study contrary to what some of the media thinks we are just arbitrarily picking a number, and we're not. I think at least we're addressing the issue of keeping our initials the same. And I understand what everybody's feelings are, but as we send our recommendations, I assume we are still saying our number one choice is hyphen or ampersand or whatever is going to go before them first. And then these are our other options. Am I correct?
I know we sent the information and the letter to the board, and I think they will have to vote on that. And
First. Yeah. And
yes.
then hopefully they'll accept it. But if they don't, then we have their other options of what we're presenting, and of which the community still has to recognize they may not even like our three.
Correct.
And they go with their own. So, but yes, I'm very pleased that at least we're going the PHCC route. Thank you.
Any more discussion?
Madam Chair, when we send these 4 names to a state commission, will they choose from those 4, or will they narrow them down? Or can we have a chance to rename if they choose the name?
If they choose the name, I think we don't have the choice to rename. However, if we send these 4 names, and Dr. Godwin, you may correct me, if we send these 4 names and they do not select a name from these 4, this is our suggestion, then they have the right to name it what they want to, correct?
So let me clarify, there's nothing that requires the board to send all 4. You could
Correct.
make a decision to send 2 or to send 3. So the 4 was for this board to get it to the final preliminary slate that you're going to vote on, consider for there's also, you could frame the report. I don't know where I'm getting a lot of feedback. So you could also frame the report in a way that says, based on all of our research and our preliminary, this board still confirms that our board confirms that Patrick and Henry is our preferred name choice. However, in good faith, the board has reached out to the community. We've had 800 proposals, and we have done an exhaustive review. And here are our, in priority order, 1 additional name, 2 additional names, 3 additional names. I think you have the flexibility to do that and to couch it in that way. And my sense is, I believe the state board would have to respect that. I just have a faith that they would at least look at it and consider it. I think that you're not setting up the name as is. You're not sending up the hyphen. You're asking for a review of another modification. It's consistent with the request of one of our localities. But then in good faith, you've kept working on other naming options, and you've debated them, and you've looked at the dynamics for the other names. So just to clarify, you don't have to, this is your preliminary slate, not the slate to send to this is your preliminary slate to consider and vote on, and then make a decision of how many of these that you would actually put forth in a recommendation. And I think you can make a good case for that in all directions. I would like to, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, because it just came through, we've been doing some informal Twitter polling this morning we have access to it. I would like, could we turn the floor to Amanda to give us the latest update? If it may, this is not to influence us, this is to inform us of how the public is is as they're following this through media, what's coming back. Amanda, can you highlight that for us?
Certainly. So before the board began meeting today, I just shared what a few of the top ones from your #1 pick that you sent to Sue Ann. I shared that on our Twitter and shared it as a poll so that our community members could get involved if they wanted to. And the 4 that I shared on Twitter, because Twitter only allows me to put 4, were Patriot Heights, Patriot Hills, Virginia Foothills, which has since been removed, and Patriot Heritage. And from those 4, we have had 29 votes in the last hour, and Patriot Heights received 44.8% of those votes. Patriot Hills received 27.6% of those votes. Virginia Foothills was the next choice, and then Patriot Heritage received 6.9% of those votes. So again, that's almost 45% for Patriot Heights, almost 30% for Patriot Hills, and almost 7% for Patriot Heritage.
Thank you, Amanda. I thought that would be very helpful as you see in real time what kind of
Yeah, thank you, Amanda.
Question.
Okay.
This is probably along the same line that Roger was asking. Could we wait and submit our second choices after they make a decision on our first?
I'll try to answer that. I think what they're wanting us to do, and I think Dr. Godwin has covered this too, and we don't have to submit all 4 names. We could do our first and second choice. I think that would narrow it down to, okay, here are 2 choices.
Reason I say that is we probably, if we're submitting more than 1 or 2 names, we shouldn't be letting them know if they don't choose one we want, we got another one in line. So kind of force them into making their decision as the one we want.
Keep in mind, Dr. McCall, that everything we're talking is all public. This is public domain. Every conversation is public domain. The board, the state, anyone that will be well versed in every discussion that we have had. So my suggestion, based on my understanding of what the VCCS board is going to be asking Dr. Hodges to do, I believe he will have until July 9th to respond officially. My best judgment is that at minimum, you need a parallel course. You need a parallel recommendation. That's why in our conversations the other day, we were very careful. Your board chair was very articulate. She said, yes, we may continue to support some variation of our current name based on the fact that we're named on our localities, and we are not accepting of the idea that our localities are inappropriate. We cannot be named for our service area. That's really the basis of that argument. But the parallel argument, notice her language, is in good faith. This board will continue its charge, will continue the work on looking for alternative names. In my opinion, this is Angela Godwin talking. This is not the president of community college talking. I do think it would be a mistake to not identify those parallel initiatives in your report to the state board. They know all about our discussions. We are a public entity. This is a public meeting. And so I believe that it would be disingenuous to not, in that report, specify and articulate the parallel discussions that have been going on. And get those proposed new names, go ahead and get them on the table. If they send them back and they don't like any of the names, my sense is the new president and the leadership team here and you as the board will probably take 2 steps back, build a new strategy, and then completely go in a different direction of how you go about. And hopefully by then you have a policy of the state board there is a possibility that there might be a broader VCCS procedure or brand directive or some kind of what the brand people call a discovery consulting that might get executed.
Madam Chair,
Madam,
Yes.
I thought that we were going to consider keeping Patrick Henry as it is. Then we send some information to the state board stating that we were named after two districts, Patrick County and Henry County, and not Patrick Henry, the man.
That's why we put an and in there.
We did. We sent what Patrick County and the foundation came up with about putting a hyphen. That being said, they will vote on that first. So we're turning in this slate of names that we're going to choose in a minute. We're going to turn that in, and this is what we are going to, as a board, we came up with these names. Now they have already rejected the hyphen. You know, I think they will again, but that's up to the board. So what I would like to do now, and if this is a pleasure of the board, is let Sue Ann call these 4 names out. You vote for the name with a 4, 3, 2, 1, 4 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. Does anyone have any other suggestion? I don't know how to do it rather than that.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just a point of clarification. The first, your first choice would be the highest number, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Does everyone understand that? Or do you want to, well, it'll be 2. The highest number would be the first choice. Okay,
Correct.
does everybody understand?
Yes.
Is that the way you want to do it? Okay, all right, Sue Ann, let's call out the 4 names. We'll poll everyone with a number 4, 3, 2, 1.
I need to do one name at a time. And
Yes,
let each board
absolutely.
member give it a
Absolutely.
number, right?
We'll do 4 times, correct?
All right, so Patrick and Henry. Let me write this down first.
Joanne, I'm gonna keep, go ahead, Dr. Gowen,
That
sorry.
has already been voted on as that.
That was to keep it on the list. We didn't vote to an order. I thought that Patrick and Henry was a given, and then you have to choose your other 3 under it.
That's what I think was the intent of the original vote.
No, that's not.
It's just on the list.
The motion that we voted on was to add
it to the list.
Add it to this.
To the preliminary list.
Right. To the list we're going to choose from to send on to the state board as our recommendations. I did not vote for anything that said we're going to make Patrick and Henry our first choice, and then we're going to do another vote for the next 3.
Okay, so all Sue Ann will need to do is call each one, go a roll call, you give it the number that I don't know any other way to do it.
I don't either. I don't know any other
unless you do it right. Dr. Hodges, did you have a recommendation?
I was just going to simply suggest, it might be easier, and Joanne, I'm happy to help with this. If you call each board member's name and they provide you their rank order, then I will keep the tally as we go and get using Dr. Casey's language. First place gets 4 votes, second place 3 votes, etc. Then we can very quickly tally and get a rank order of this.
Okay, I'll try to be a follow-up for that.
Okay.
Is everyone clear on what we're doing? Sue Ann is going.
With you too, so I'm just.
Yes, Sue Ann is going to call each board member's name. You provide your first place, second place, third place, fourth place choice in that order. and we will allocate points accordingly, which will allow us to rank these choices.
Do we have to vote for 4? Can, like, if there's a couple of them I'm not really in favor of, can I just do 1 and 2?
I sure hope so, because that's what I'm going to do.
Certainly, certainly.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, Janet Copenhaver.
Okay, first place, Patrick and Henry.
That's number, you're giving it 4?
Well, I think Greg is just going to do
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, so Ann, I'll do the order. You and that way we've got it backed up. So if you say first, that gets 4 points. Whoever says second gets 3 points, and
Dr. Hodges is going to do the calculation.
I'll do that.
So we just say first, second, third, and fourth. Yeah.
Correct.
I apologize that this is confusing and we're framing around, but this is very difficult to do on Zoom. It's very difficult to do it on standing up.
Correct.
Sue Ann's going to call your name. You're going to give her your 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. If you have 4, you may have 1, you may have 2. And Dr. Hodges is going to do the tabulation.
Dr. Hodges, do we have a 0?
You just don't say it and it gets 0 votes.
Janet Copenhaver.
Patrick and Henry, 1. Patrick Heights, 2. Patriot Hills, 3.
And nothing for Heritage.
No.
Okay. Dr. Casey.
Okay, my first choice is Patriot Heights, and my second choice is Patriot Hills, and that completes my voting.
Okay. Gary Collins.
My first choice is Patrick and Henry. My second choice is Patriot Heights. And my third choice, Patriot Hill. And that is it.
Paul Geib.
First choice, Patriot Hill. Second, Patriot Heritage. Third, Patriot Heights. Fourth, Patrick and Henry.
Robert Haley.
If you all will recall, I didn't vote to go into this process, and I wasn't going to stop y'all from doing what you want to do. I don't have as much faith in the state board as Dr. Godwin has. I'm not going to participate in the naming choices.
Okay. Monica Hatchett.
My top choice is Patriot Hills. My second choice is Patriot Heights, and that concludes my vote.
Okay. Roger Hayden.
My top choice is Patrick Henry. And I don't think we even should be talking about this.
Okay.
Rest of them are 0.
Barry Helmstutler.
My number 1 is Patriot Hills. My number 2 is Patriot Heights. And that completes my voting.
Okay. George Hippisley.
My number 1 is Patriot Heights, and that completes my voting.
Okay. Dr. LeGrant, Shanna LeGrant. Still not here. Okay. Dr. McCraw.
My votes are number 1, Patrick and Henry. Number 2 is Patriot Hills. Number 3 is Patriot Heights. Number 4 is Patriots Heritage.
Okay. Wayne Moore.
My number 1 is Patriot Hill. My second one is Patriot Heights.
And that's all you want to vote on?
Yes.
Okay. Robert Vogler.
My first choice is Patrick and Henry. My second choice, Patriot Heritage. My third, Patriot Heights. My last choice, Patriot Hills.
Okay. And Ren Williams. guess he's gone. Okay.
So based upon those tallies, our first place is Patriot Heights. Second is Patriot Hills. Third is Patrick and Henry. Fourth is Patriot Heritage.
So Heights, Hills, Patrick and Henry, Heritage, in that order.
In that order. I do think it would be, I will tell you candidly that there is a large gap. It's Patriot Heights, excuse me, Patriot Hills, and then a large gap between the others.
That was going to be my question.
We've got a total 29 for Patriot Heights using the reverse system, followed closely by Patriot Hills, and then quite a spread between the other two.
Okay, the board has spoken.
Madam Chair,
Any discussion? Yes. Mr.
I make a
Hepstein?
motion that I make a motion that we send to the state board Patriot Heights and Patriot Hills, and that's the only two options we send.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? There's a motion and second.
And just to clarify, Madam Chair, this is in addition to what you've already sent forward previously,
Correct.
so that we're all on the same page. This is in
Correct.
addition to what's already been sent forward last week.
Correct. Any more discussion? Thank you, Dr. Hodges, for the clarification.
What's he talking about, the ones we set forth last week?
The one from Patrick County with the hyphen.
Okay, thank you.
Henry, not Patrick County.
I'm sorry. Foundation Board, not Patrick County. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, Patrick County requested the and.
Yes.
So those are two separate requests, but that was in the overall review. Amanda, is anything else polling? How does this match the public's polling?
The public's polling hasn't changed too much, but there are now 38 votes, and Patriot Heights and Patriot Hills are on top. Patriot Heights is at 39.5%, and Patriot Hills is at 26.3%.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to send the two. Will you restate your motion, Barry?
Yeah, I make a motion that we send to the state board as options if Patrick-Henry is not approved, two names. Patriot Heights as our first alternate and Patriot Hills as our second alternate, and that's all.
Is there a second to that motion?
I seconded.
And Mr. Casey seconded, yes. All right, any more discussion?
Call for the vote, please.
Call for the vote. Sue Ann?
Janet Copenhaver,
Yes.
Dr. Denny Casey,
Yes.
Gary Collins,
Yes.
Paul Geib,
Yes.
Robert Haley,
No.
Monica Hatchett,
Yes.
Roger Hayden,
Let me clarify, Patrick Henry will be on the list of the ones we voting on to send, right?
That was sent last week. Yes, sir. This is in addition to that.
Yes.
Is it on this one or last week?
This was on last week. We asked them to reconsider Patrick Henry or Patrick-Henry. If they reject that, we are now providing alternatives for the state board to consider. In rank order, they would be Patriot Heights and Patriot Hills as alternatives to what's already been sent.
Can I make a point of clarification, Dr. Hodges? We did not ask them to reconsider Patrick Henry as is. We did
Correct.
ask them to reconsider with the hyphen, and we added, based on the Patrick County Board of Supervisors request, we added the Patrick and Henry for their reconsideration. So that was in the request document that was sent last week to reconsider Patrick hyphen Henry or Patrick and Henry, whether you do the ampersand or the and. That was in that, to reconsider that. This will be a supplemental report that say, because we told them in that letter, and we said this over, we're in good faith, we're parallel looking at new names. This will be our preferred slate in order of other names: Patrick Heights, Patriot Hill. And we will use your commentary, that we've got some really good commentary on both of them that would be in the report to substantiate why those two names are in fact appropriate.
So we haven't had any feedback from that, correct?
No, we have not. Correct.
Until they have their meeting, which is July the 15th.
That's correct.
You're not going to get preliminary feedback on that. No.
We're not.
No.
Okay, Sue Ann, a call for the vote is on the floor.
Roger Needham, how do you vote?
No.
Barry Helmstutler,
Yes.
George Hippisley,
Yes.
Dr. Shanna LeGrant, Dr. John McCraw,
Yes.
Wayne Moore,
Yes.
Robert Vogler,
Yes.
Ren Williams. So it passed.
The motion is carried to send these two names parallel to what we've already sent to the board. Any discussion from any member of the board? If not, thank you for your dedication. Thank you for the 4 weeks that we've been working on this. Thank you, Dr. Casey, for taking over for me. And I now call this meeting.
When will we have the next meeting, or will it be a next meeting?
No, it will not, we'll have our regular July meeting.
Regular July meeting.
Yes.
July 19th, and it will be in person.
Okay.
So-
The reason I voted no on the last motion is because Patrick Henry was sent in advance to the board.
That is correct.
Okay, I just want to be on record saying that. Thank you.
Any other comments? I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Good luck, Dr. Godwin.
Bye, Dr. Godwin. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Happy
Hughes.
trails.
Dr.
Bye.
Hodges. Dr. Hodges.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Meeting.